Hey guys, this is Jordan. Welcome back to J-Squared Tutorials. Today we're talking about the pen tool. We've been getting a lot of requests asking about a tutorial for the pen tool because sometimes it's a pretty confusing tool, especially if you're just starting out with it. So what we want to do first is start and make sure that our settings are up to par. We want to look up at the top. We want to have paths selected up here, this box highlighted. We want to have the pen tool selected, not freeform pen tool. And we want to come over here to this drop down arrow. It's going to say geometry options. When you click on it, it'll say pen options. Give you an option for a rubber band, and you need to have the box checked. Alright, once your settings are all set, you should be ready to go. But also over here, you see this says exclude overlapping path areas. You want to have it set to add to path areas. Alright, so basically the image that I have here is just a basic default shape that Photoshop offers. I just drew it out on a white background and I flattened the image so that we can render it off of here. What we want to do is zoom in a good amount, pan where you're comfortable with what you're looking at. Pull out your pen tool again and just click on one point of the edge of your render. Alright, I just picked right there. You can start anywhere along here really. And what you want to do is we want to go here. And a lot of people, they like to go around with their pen tool and they like to click these little points here. And that really defeats the whole purpose of the pen tool, because the pen tool can create curves. And to create these curves, what we want to do is click on another point on your render, and before you release your click, you want to drag. And we get something that lines around the edge just like that. And then you see we have this little tail wagging around here. And it doesn't really line up with this, and if we click another point and drag it there, it just really doesn't line up. So we're just going to go ahead and do that, but this is going to need some adjustment. So how do we adjust it? Well, what you want to do is you want to come over, these are called arms coming off of each anchor point. What you want to do is Alt click the arm, and you want to move it around and adjust it till you're lined up just right with the edge. So now I'm lined up there, and I come over here, and this one just doesn't look like it's gonna work at all. So let's just start fresh. And to start fresh, to make sure that this isn't all curvy over here, you just want this to be a straight line no matter what direction you go. Come over to this outer arm, Alt click, and bring it back to the anchor point. Line it up as best as you can, and you just have a straight line floating around now. So now you can pick another point on your curve and drag to make the curve. And you can just keep doing this. Now here's another precarious spot. We can click somewhere else on this curve, but it's not going to line up well at all with this little dip over here on the image. So let's just undo that. So we're going to come back over here, and we're going to Alt click and bring it back to the original point. Come down here, here's a small curve right there, and then this curves around pretty nicely. We can just bring it right back around there. New point, click and drag. Sometimes your curves work out nicely where you can move right on to the next one. And sometimes you're going to have to adjust. After a while you'll get really used to this, and it'll just be second nature to know when you need to adjust. Like here's another one. It was pretty natural all the way around there, kept nicely to the edges, but right here, this is just not gonna go. So we're gonna undo that, come back to this arm, the end of this arm, Alt click and drag back to the anchor point. come back around here. More clicking and dragging. Gets pretty repetitive after a while, but this is how we do the pen tool. Also, this pen tool, the way I'm using the pen tool, this is with the intent of rendering. I'm not using the pen tool in any way where I would be forming shapes for a large piece of art. I'm not doing any kind of abstract designs. This is simply just how I would use the pen tool to render. Just gonna come around here and finish this off. It's hugging nicely to the curves here, so shouldn't have much problem with that. And then here we get to the end and we see it'll connect, but there's a little bit of background you see right there in the path. So how we're going to do that is we're going to control click the path, the closed path, to bring back the anchor points. And we see the arm on the last point over here. So we want to alt click that arm, and we can just drag and adjust that. Now you can bring back your path at any time after it's closed by just simply going along the path and just control clicking. So if I control click, that'll make the anchor points go away. If I control click again on the path, it'll bring back your anchor points. So, and like we learned before, we're just going to go right click it, make selection. Okay. You want to select the inverse because we outlined the object, so we need to delete everything around it. Select inverse and delete. Alright, so that's the basic idea of how I use the pen tool. If you have any questions, direct them here, direct them in messages, and we will respond to you. Have a good one.